What type of artists do you think booked this room? Are you allowed to say?
Definitely Martin Garrix is in this room, Boy Wonder's in this room.
Okay. Any crazy stories in this room?
I guess the crazy stories would have to stay in Vegas, just like the saying goes. Hey guys, my name is JP. I didn't know if you were gonna... Hey guys, my name is JP. Welcome to MelRose Hills. Let me show you around.
Let's go. From the outside, it looks just like a random building from downtown LA. But inside, you'll see it's like a musical playground that can rival any studio in Hollywood. What's poppin', gang? I'm 30 Killer Beats, and I've been touring a lot of studios, and one of them I decided to show you guys is in downtown LA called MelRose Studios with some unique gear and some secret sauce as far as their layout, and we'll jump into that in a bit. But honestly, I think if you're a music producer or engineer, I think this is a really great studio to check out. Let's dive into it. You got a lot of Taylor Gang plaques. Did they do a lot of work here?
You know, actually, this is a producer who's in this room, and he does a lot of the mixing here for sure.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, as being a newer location to Melrose Sound, we've had Wiz Khalifa plenty of times at the old location, but this one, since the pandemic, we've just been doing most of the mixing for them here.
What inspired you to start a studio in this location?
You know, it really was just during the pandemic. We were just so busy at the other locations that it just inspired me to look. But once I saw the natural aspect and real beauty of this place with all the windows, it inspired me to try to give us an alternative to the dark, you know, spaces that we're used to, and try to just step into the light a little bit. Guys, let's check out garden room number 1. I'll show you. Come on in, come on in. This room is actually really comfortable and perfect for 6 to 8 people. You know, and it's modeled after everything I did, you know, in the early 10s, where all vocals and all production really just came down to, you know, to a production system. So everything here is loaded with all the vocal plugins. It's loaded with 1073 and 1176. So really classic gear that I've used on #1 records before. But because we no longer need 100-channel console, we no longer need to pay for that. We can consolidate it into a smaller office setting. So for us, really the price point is connecting the independent artists, you know, the up-and-comers with a more introductory price point. Along with the gear, it's obviously got a nice natural space. What I really like about this place is, is the natural light. Come check it out with me. If you need to have a smoke or come write your verse, you know, and then still connected to nature. Luckily, we're in California, so the weather's always pleasant. Obviously, like I said, take a break from your session, but still, you know, be able to peek in.
Okay, yeah. So a studio like this, what can that run for somebody?
You know, I'm very proud. Like I was saying, I love to be able to provide access. So on a 4-hour minimum, you know, it's $300. If you're stretching to the 12 hours, it's actually only $525.
Okay.
Like I said, we focus on those production professionals and getting the most out of their sessions. So like I said, I like to offer access to everybody, but maybe if you just need an hour, we might not be the spot for you. We try to focus on people who are working on project rates. And at that point, we try to give them the most for their buck.
Okay. When you built this studio, was there anything that you had to tear down or anything?
Oh man, that's a great
up?
question. You know, this used to be an architect's office. When I stepped in here, I was very ambitious to bring that to artists, because you are immersed in like an architectural masterpiece. This is considered a historical landmark because of the architect. His name was Carl Maston. So prior to us taking over, this was all open space. It was all open concept. You know, those walls were all glass.
Wow.
Which was amazing because it invites the nature in.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I actually, you know, ran into an uh-oh moment, where that's why it works. I'm telling you, we're more so glorified office space with pro level recording equipment rather than an expensive pro studio.
Okay. I think you touched on it, but what kind of gear is in this particular room?
It's a very classic gear, man. That's the only thing I'll rely on, because the heavy lifting is done for you. It is very legendary style 1073, and the reason it's legendary is because I know that the engineer who made it used to work at Neve himself. And when he went back to replicate this exact model, he wanted to test why a certain style of Neves, the 1073, sounded why they did. So he went down in Malaysia at that time, and he tracked down the lady in the 60s who would coil those exact mic pre's, and he found the size of her hand was the exact specification that made those pre sound the same. So when he modeled his pre's, he built his own company called AML. He made those pre's after, you know, the 1073 models, which, like I said, can be very identical in that fact that they sound exactly like the 1073s from the 60s and 70s.
One thing I was also looking at was getting a line gate compressor. How's your experience with that?
You know, actually, these sound really pristine and really authentic to the original 76. I think the URI 76, you know, 1176. And yeah, and so it passes the test with my ear. And that's why, yeah, I think I've used it on classic records like Titanium, Good Feeling with Flowrider. And so that's why I wanted to have some, you know, like very standard vocal chain.
What about the microphone in this particular room? Or is it swappable?
Yeah, it's very swappable, you know, and to be honest, I'm glad this one's in here. Actually, this is a Lewitt 840.
Okay.
It's what I used to replace an 87. I love an 87, they're an industry standard. But to be honest, this has a cleaner low end and it's a little silkier and more plug and play ready. Anytime a client maybe isn't able to get one, for example, the last time I was with Garrix, we requested the C800, but somebody was already using it. I swapped this in and his latest single is what recorded it. It sounds amazing, and actually it's still my preference. I'm glad when the C800 isn't available.
Like top 3 or?
Top number 1, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like to replace it, but like I said, because it's not an industry standard yet, people don't recognize it. They'll still request the C800 and the 87, but this is actually its better cousin. It's better.
Okay. Your choice of speakers here, you went with the Adam A77X. Why is that?
You know, I actually wanted to vary it. So the other rooms have Focals, I have Genelecs, and I wanted to make sure we got a nice variety of everything. And I had to throw those in the mix because I like the smaller scale. And to be honest, these don't disappoint. I think this tends to be a lot of people's favorite selection as a room, just because you can really rely on them. I think they're very flat. You know, they don't give you, you know, any artifacts. And so as far as being able to beat them up, they're very reliable. And that's why I love them. I paired it with the Adam subwoofer.
Okay, Adam subwoofer. Now, is that a 12?
I think it's a 10.
Yeah, so let's check out the booth here. Wow, this is
come on
nice
in case
and
we have
cozy.
space. And in this case, I know I have an artist who's been here for months, and I know they prefer to record outside, so they've been using this mainly as a lounge, their fridge space. I think they were in the other room the other day where I just set up a big couch for them, and they probably just use it as a second office.
Wow, this is nice, man. I like
Thanks,
this.
man.
I like
this.
this.
I tried to make sure I matched the aesthetic of the Architect, where, you know, it wasn't about neon lights, it was just the earthy colors. You know, I didn't want to do anything too crazy because I really like the architecture and the simplicity of the lines and the wood and the glass.
Real quick, I gotta give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, The Watch. If you're looking for a studio, whether you're in Los Angeles, Miami, or Las Vegas, definitely download The Watch. It's located in the App Store. You can get a high quality studio nearby you at an affordable rate. Personally, I booked here with a lot of my friends, and we've also just split up the payment as well to make it even a lot cheaper. If you're looking for a studio nearby you, I highly recommend you download the Watch app. Link in the description. Now back to the video.
Please come check out the master suite. Come on in. Welcome to our premiere room. You know, we try to pack this one with as much production gear and top of the line. So yeah, if Justin Bieber needs it, it's probably in here.
Yeah.
You know, I like to let the classic gear do the heavy lifting and all the talking so that you can focus on the authenticity of your own performance. And that's what this stuff is here for.
This typical room will cost how much?
You know, it actually very accessible, just like the other rooms. You know, they start at $300 for the 4 hours. This one for 6 hours at a minimum will do $425. So like I said, just as much as I like to pack in all the gear that's available, we definitely like to just have a minimum to make sure that that gear is taken care of and obviously in great hands. And from there on, you know, it's all up to you. I don't even like to brag because it's not about the gear, it's about what we do. But this room has $50,000 speakers, you know, the $30,000 vocal chain. I love the CL1B. Everybody talks about this as a legendary piece of gear, you know, and anything classically recorded is probably through that exact piece. You know, $5,000 for this compressor alone. This same thing, this BAE 1073 as well. I think it was $1,500 for this guy, which is beautiful. But of course, you got the whole Neve console in case you needed more channels and more pre's.
Okay. Now, what type of artists do you think booked this room? Are you allowed to say?
No, I mean, you know, I like to say, but it, you know, like definitely Martin Garrix is in this room, Boy Wonder's in this room.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, it is all the top-notch producers, all the, you know, David Guetta, a lot of the writing camps. Actually, we get a lot of independent writing camps as well as the labels. And so what I love is being able to host, you know, multiple rooms use. It might be an independent, your favorite independent artist, you know, whether it's, you know, under Wiz Khalifa's label.
I see you have the Neve console here. I wanted to know why particularly this console over like maybe some other ones. I think I've heard this one isn't stacked with like inputs and outputs, or you know.
No, it is. It's actually, you know, this is maybe the best of both worlds in terms of it having digital recall, but it is all authentically analog in and outputs. And so yeah, this is a Genesis, which like I said, it actually combines the two, and it gives you the best out of the analog with the best out of the digital in terms of it being recalled and automatic, but the guts is still analog, which is what I'm all about.
So now this room here, what kind of tones are you getting out of this room?
There's maybe a huge secret. In this room, it is very well hung so that it's not resonating. I think the thing that makes the biggest factor is maybe having clouds on the ceilings. Simple acoustic treatment, but it is thorough. And what I mean by thorough is just addressing the ceilings. It's definitely gonna dent your space by a lot. So, you know, I measured these rooms and it actually is very consistent until the low end, and I add some bass traps, but this style configuration really does a lot for your room. The second thing is obviously the furniture, which is just having a cornered couch and the desk. So not a lot of tricks, but I'm able to achieve something pretty flat. The ATCs, and actually I think they're SM110s on these.
Wow. So these particular speakers here, what inspired you to get these speakers versus like some cheaper option?
Yeah, really good question, man. You know, actually, I think it's maybe the clientele that I'm working with. You know, they're used to seeing these. Maybe that was the final call, because otherwise, yeah, I'm very happy with most speakers. This is maybe the highest end that I've seen. There are actually speakers that are louder, but these are the ones that I know are the most flat and that I could work maybe the fastest without any handicap.
Where's the booth located?
Booth is so right behind us. Yeah, come check it out. Recording booth. And like I said, I think the biggest trick when moving into this building is figuring out how to isolate, you know, how to acoustically isolate it. I know that, yeah, between this room and the other room, there's actually a space, a wall, and then another wall after you get to this wall.
Yeah.
You know, so there's definitely, you know, plenty of acoustic treatment and acoustic separation from all the rooms. I think a lot of my guests are actually surprised with how little they can hear from one space to the other. And I was very surprised as well.
Any crazy stories in this room?
I guess the crazy stories would have to stay in Vegas, just like the saying goes. I like using Westlake, Paramount, and all the other studios. I like that this can be as the sanctuary home for all that roster of artists.
Let me know if you like the style of content. And also, we had another studio that we recorded as well, but for some reason my B-roll footage didn't get saved onto my computer before I deleted everything. So if you want to see the last room, there is another room that we did shoot as well. Go check out my TikTok or my Instagram, link in the description if you want to see that room as well. It's another room that's super dope, and I think some other high-level people has rented out this room as well. Let me know what other videos you want to see on this channel. Make sure you add me on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And YouTube says this video right here is the one you need to be watching. I highly recommend it. For some reason, you've been clicking around and YouTube is saying this one is the one for you.